Alright, hello everyone and welcome to this video in which we're going to show you how to build your own Kong plugin with Bluetext. Bluetext is the development environment which you guys have the option to use for this hackathon. So in this video, I'm going to be building an AI prompt shield. If you tuned into the workshops, then it's exactly what we built there, but this is designed for those people who either don't want to sit through a 2-hour recording or if they just completely missed the workshops. So this is going to be a quick 3 to 4 minute video about how to do just that. So to request a dev machine with which you can use Bluetext on a virtual machine, you can head on over to bluetext.dev. You can then sign in with any of your credentials or create an account. So we have started a lab environment, which means that you can enter a code and request a dev machine. This is going to last for the length of the Kong hackathon till the end of presentation day. So the code is 944708 and you can select join lab. You will see this confetti on your screen, meaning that you've successfully joined the lab, and you can now click on this lab environment. To actually view the Bluetext platform or to go into the Bluetext platform, you would select this link right here. So what you see first thing when you sign in is this setup section. So we can see here services and run specs. Services are essentially telling you which services or templates have been scaffolded out into your project. If you click this, you can see a list of them here. And run specs tell you which of these services are running together. Run spec is just short for run specification. So if you head on over to services, we're going to need 3. We're going to need a web app, a Rust API, and Kong gateway. So we can go ahead and load these all into our project, starting with the Rust API, and you can leave these names as default. So Rust API Kong gateway. Not to be confused with Kong Gateway Enterprise. Kong Gateway is just the open source image, which is limited in functionality, however, functionality that we do not need to actually create our own plugin. And then finally, the web app, which you can also just leave as default, the name. So there, as you can see, we've added 3 services to our project, and by default, they have been added to this default run spec automatically. We can then head over to the configure section. Here you can see a number of blueprints, guided setups, sometimes we like to call them capabilities as well. These are nothing more than scripts and templating tools combined. So essentially, you can bring in new code and run scripts on existing code to make it work with this new code. So you can filter these out. We just need the ones related to Kong. So this is a Kong proxy, which wires a front end and API services through Kong. We're going to need this, and we can select our target as the Rust API and the front end as just our front end. So because we only have 2 of these services, I guess it's sort of implied which ones we're going to be using. Of course, we need the web app and the API for this. We only have 1 of each. But there is cases in which there would be more, so we need to specify which of these 2 we should run this blueprint on. So we're going to go ahead and press run. And then we have this Kong request logger plugin. Now, all this does is scaffolds out a project written in Lua code and tells Kong how to run this project or how to configure our project with that plugin. We could, in theory, build this from scratch. However, if we scaffold this out, the code that comes out, combined with the connection to the rest of the project, makes it somewhat or noticeably easier for the coding agent to then build off on top of this and to create the plugin that we actually want to make. This is just a very simple request logger plugin, which creates logs of intercepted requests. The gateway that we have is Kong Gateway, and the namespace is main by default. So we're going to leave this as blank. So what we've done now is added 3 services to our project, an API, a front end, and a Kong, which is all we need for this, and ran these two blueprints. One, which was the Kong proxy, and one, which was the Kong request logger plugin. Now, we have all the scaffolding and connections between services in place, and we're going to make a prompt for our agent. You can head on over to code and write open code. We have configured open code to have Gemini 3.1, I believe. 3.1 Pro Preview selected by default, and the API key that you were able to see here has been pre-injected into the config file for open code. So I'm going to go ahead and write out my prompt, and I'll resume when I'm finished with that. Now, it can't hurt to spend some time to be ultra specific with the prompt, so we don't have to risk our coding agent getting the first attempt at creating our full stack app incorrect, so that we have to go back and debug it. So I'm going to try and one-shot this by giving the agent as much relevant information as possible. So I said, hey, I want to build a Kong plugin for an AI prompt shield that disallows sensitive information like API keys, PPS numbers, and credit card numbers from being sent. The front end can be built at the home route of the web app we have scaffolded out already, and you can write the Lua code for the Kong plugin where the logger plugin is currently written. And then I also said, I also have a Rust API scaffolded here. So I'm going to go ahead and send this prompt and turn auto edits on. I think right now auto edits is currently on already. Yes, so right now open code is telling us the plan that it's going to build. It's going to make a to-do list probably here on the right of the UI, but it doesn't do that in all cases. I'm going to pause this video, and then when I see that it's done, I'm going to show you guys how to actually view the app that we made. All right, so now my coding agent has told me that it's done, and I'm going to go ahead and go to the run section. Here you can see all of our services grouped together in one run spec, just like we could see in the setup view, except here we have the ability to actually run them. So we're going to go ahead and press run right here. We could run these services separately with these miniature mini play icons, but it just makes more sense to run the run spec as a whole. There's nothing in there that we don't need. And there's also no one service that we need more than others. So we can just run everything together. And I'll come back when this is done. All right, so to view our app, we can click on our web app ingress. All right, so testing out my prompt shield, I said, hello boy, or just hello, and that works. But if I try to add a personal number, for example, a credit card, 4319, that gets banned or blocked with the status code 403. So this is a relatively simple plugin, but now you at least know how to start making such a plugin with Bluetext. You can feel free to really and encouraged to push this to its limits and make a more complicated plugin, something that really solves a unique use case and could be presented for your hackathon project. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you at the hackathon.